Hello, welcome back to Sharks Happen. My name is Hal. I'm your host, going over shark attacks from the 1900s till present, mostly large sharks. We'll get started right away. We're going to head off of Aubone, which is off of New Caledonia. The date is January 25th, 2007. Jesse Jizdny, he's 30 years old, a policeman from Aubone. He's out doing some spearfishing with some friends. He's in 15 meters deep water. About 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and he is trying to spear a fish which he's located on a ledge. He says he looked around and saw a tiger shark, mouth open, coming straight at him. He saw nothing but teeth coming at him, coming right for his midsection, and he was able to hit the shark, and that sent him away. The shark turned around and came back at him though, and was able to bite his foot, and released his foot right away, came back a third time and bit him in the leg, grabbed him. He said he shook him like a rag doll for a few seconds, let him go, and disappeared. He was airlifted out, got his leg taken care of and his foot taken care of, so he was stitched up, no mention of any amputation. So it looks like he got out of that one. It was a tiger shark. It must have been pretty large, especially to be wiggling them around like that. They don't say what size. But I'm imagining probably around an average sized tiger shark, which is about 9 or 10 feet, probably around there. Big shark for sure. Jesse Jizdny, 30 years old, attack, no predation. Okay, now we're going to head over to Miramar Beach, Argentina. The date, January 22nd, 1954. Alfredo Aubone, 18-year-old Californian. He's in the water and he's floating, and they say that there's other swimmers that are more seaward of him, so he's not even the furthest out into the depths, and he gets attacked. A shark comes up and bites his flexed arm, so it bites his left arm and shakes him vigorously, lets him go real quick, and then it grabs his left calf and does the same thing, bites down, shakes him vigorously, and lets him go again. And about 45 seconds later, he says that it comes back and it gashes his right leg before it disappears. So the shark bit him 3 times, and there was almost a minute in between first 2 initial bites and then the last bite that it gave before it headed out of the way. His friend was able to see the shark, but only saw the back of it and the fin, so he couldn't tell what it was. But they did get, he had his whole inner aspect of his left arm was all mangled. It was slashed along with the shoulder. His left leg, it split the bone in the calf, and it left a tooth imprinted in there, and it turned out to be a great white. They don't say what size. Again, I'm going to assume probably around a 10-12 footer, something juvenile-ish. To do bites like that and just leave them alone, it was going to test it out, and definitely tested it out, but didn't go for it. Putting that down as an attack and no predation. And then we're going to head over off Lanikai Beach, which is Oahu, Hawaii. The date is October 17th, 2015. Tony Lee, 44 years old. He and a friend are swimming back. He's got goggles on, flippers on, fins on. He's swimming back with a friend from the islands to Lanikai Beach. They get about 50 to 100 yards from shore. And he says he feels a tug on his legs, and he looks down. He had his goggles on, so he looks down and he could see clearly that both of his legs down by his feet were in a large tiger shark's mouth. So first thing he does is he starts hitting on the shark. That doesn't work. The shark takes him down, and they're in 2.5 meter deep water. He can feel the sand off of his face as it rubs him off the bottom, takes him back up to the top, and he gets ahead and figures if he keeps punching, maybe it'll let go. Well, he felt something soft down there, so he put his finger in there, and it turned out to be the eyeball. The shark released his grip right away, but his finger ended up hooking behind the eyeball and kind of pulled the eyeball out. Now Tony's got the whole eyeball in his hand, and he's out of the shark's mouth, but he waits until he's at the surface because he had been rubbed to the bottom the second time, and that's when he put the finger in the mouth. So it rubbed him off the bottom twice, kind of like with Rodney Fox, and then he has the eyeball in his hand, and he waits till he gets onto the surface, and he lets go of the eyeball, and the shark disappears. They're able to get him in and get him worked on. He unfortunately ended up losing a foot. They had to amputate a foot due to complications. So they don't say the size of the bite, they say the lower leg. So I'm thinking this is, a 7-10 foot shark at the most to do that. And it probably, the bottom of the side of the jaws probably had it in the foot, in both feet, and probably damaged them pretty bad with the flesh. It said there was pretty bad flesh removal from the feet. But Tony survives that, and another one that fights off a shark and think clearly to do what he needs to do. First time I heard of somebody actually pulling the eye right out of the shark and holding it in their hand. I've never heard of that before, so good on you, Tony. That's a crazy story. We're going to put that down as an attack and not an attempt to predate. Okay, now we're going to head over to Cancun, Mexico. It's 2011, and Nicole Moore, she's 38 years old. She's out, she was playing a volleyball game, and she went into the water about waist deep to rinse off the sand and sweat after the game. And as she's out there, she hears somebody behind her yelling, and she turns around and somebody on a jet ski yelling about something. She didn't know what, and right then she's bumped in her left leg and then bit. So probably a bull shark comes up, tapped her in the left leg and then bit. Took out a huge chunk of skin from her left thigh. They said it was about a football, about the size of a football. It was about 10 to 12 inches long, and it took it out right down to the bone, right down to the leg bone. So she loses that chunk of meat, and she's trying to walk her way back in, stumbling towards shore. She's not too far off of the beach, and another shark. It could be that shark or another shark. I heard there were multiple sharks there, but she was grabbed in the arm, on her left arm, and it tried to pull her down into the water. She beat off the shark with her right arm, and just as she did that and the shark released her, the jet ski got to her, pulled her up on the jet ski and took her in. She gets in, and she's in Mexico, but she's from Canada. She's a Canadian citizen, and she ends up having to stay in Mexico and have her surgery done. Now, they found this chunk of meat, flesh, probably floating, I'm thinking, in the ocean. So somebody retrieved that, and they turned that in. So they re-sewed the piece of flesh back in Cancun. They re-sewed that piece of flesh back into her leg, and then her left arm was mangled, but they went ahead and did sewing up and probably staples, whatever they do to get that fixed. That ended up setting in with infection pretty quick, and she was upset with her care. She had said that her health care over in Canada, the provider could not find a single hospital bed in the whole country for her. So here you got a tax-paying citizen being told, well, you're stuck over there in Canada now, or over in Mexico, get it fixed there. Now they had to take out the chunk. They had to amputate her arm. Both set in with infection for what they did for her care over there. They tried to do a skin graft or two after they removed that chunk that was rejected, and both of those rejected too. So we're 11 months out from the attack now. And she's going to go back to Cancun, right back to the ocean, because she wants to prove to the sharks that she's not afraid. Her leg, they decided to leave it an open, pretty much fresh wound, all the way into to the bone. So when she went back to go into the water, she still was missing that chunk of flesh. I mean, ugh. That's a rough one. So she goes back, and she's been back many times since. She's a huge shark advocate. Doesn't blame the sharks at all. She wanted to get over her fear of sharks. She did that. And she seems to be moving on with her life. But that's just a rough story that, you need to care, and you're told, we can't help you. Your whole country is just closed. You're not even at war, and you can't even get into a hospital bed in your own country. That's pretty sad. So, unfortunate set of circumstances there. This is going down as an attack and a predation attempt by a bull shark. They didn't say what kind of shark. I'm thinking it's a bull shark, probably a decent size, 6 foot, somewhere around there. So that's our story. Nicole Moore, 38 years old. Okay, now we're going to finish off our unprovoked attacks off the coast of Australia, off Cactus Beach. The date, September 24th, 2000. Cameron Bays, 25 years old. He is on a 6-month honeymoon with his wife, a working honeymoon. So they're in Australia, and they're probably going around to different places, enjoying themselves. His wife is in the hotel, maybe still sleeping, maybe getting ready for her day. But it's 7:30 in the morning, and Cameron is out. He's just past the breakers, and sounds like he's paddling. And a huge great white, some say 13 feet, some say 16 feet, comes up, and some even say 18 feet, comes up and circles him, gets around behind him, and then charges him, knocking him off his board. Now, when it knocks him off the board, one of the witnesses said that this thing frothed up the water. It was turning circles, attacking him, but doing counterclockwise circles so fast that they said it looked like multiple sharks. That's how fast the shark was swimming around him. Crazy thing is, this attack lasts a minute and a half. This is a long attack. Most of them are, 10 seconds and you're done. This is a minute and a half attack. This reminds me of David Lilienfeld, except this one wanted to eat him. No doubt it wanted to eat him. So, does all this thrashing around. They said it churned up the water. It was whipping around, looked like multiple sharks. And then they see Cameron swim over to his board, get on it, and another witness that had climbed up over a dune to see the end of the attack, the last 30 seconds of it, he climbed up over the dune and he saw that Cameron was now paddling toward shore. He said he didn't have a look of fear or, craziness, just a calm, like he paddling furiously for shore. He said that lasted for about 10 feet. That shark came back and it sounds like it grabbed his board, probably knocking him off in the process, because they don't say anything about him getting bit in half or anything, but that board was decimated by the bite. So the shark came up and bit that board into multiple pieces, 2 big pieces, and then another piece we're going to get to in a minute. And it's got Cameron in the water, and that witness that came up over the dune said that the water was all churned up underneath them, and that the shark didn't take him from the top of the water, it just kind of grabbed him underneath, and it said that it looked like the churned up water just sucked him right down in. So the shark obviously knocked him off the board and knocked him off. Now the next time this guy sees the shark, it's 400 yards out from the shore. This all took place about 165 feet from shore. But about 400 yards out, the shark surfaces again. It stops, it spits out a large chunk of the board that it probably bit when it bit down on the board. And then they see it kind of thrashing around in the water a little bit, and then it takes off. They never found anything of Cameron. They didn't find a piece of his suit. They didn't find anything, nothing. They found the 3 pieces or 4 pieces of board, whatever, that washed ashore, and that's it. So Cameron Bay is 25 years old. Put it down, a great white attack and predation. And that'll finish out our unprovoked attacks. Okay, now we're going to finish out the show. You don't hear that every day. We're going to head over to California in 1994. We're going to go over to the Shark Club Billiard Hall. They used to have a 16-foot shark tank in there. They had a 4-foot lemon shark along with another shark, and Steve Rosenblum had gone into the tank, and they were going to relocate these 2 sharks as they are outgrowing the tank. So he gets in there, and the shark goes ahead and bites him in the arm, the lemon shark, the 4-foot lemon, and does enough damage that he needs 100 stitches to sew himself up. When he was interviewed about it, he says, yeah, I was bitten by a land shark. So close, you're almost bitten by a land shark. They're a little bit better at those land shark attacks over in England right now, but I'm sure we'll find some of those here somewhere in the United States. Right now we just had a few of them over in England, but that's our story of Steve Rosenblum. We're not going to count that as an attack. It's too small of a shark, so I'm not doing small sharks in this show. Small sharks we're going to deal with once all these large ones are done. And that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you tune back in a couple days for another show of attacks. But remember, if you go in that water, you are much more afraid of those sharks than they are of you.